Hey there, Clear Lake peeps. Ross England, Clear Lake Guide Service. I think this is like take 4 or 5. This is, man, what a mess. Anyway, this would normally be your fishing report for March 26th. And as most of you probably already know, there is no fishing at Clear Lake. Through various steps and stages, the virus has taken over. We don't have it yet in this county, but the county officials are trying to keep it that way. So all of the waterways, all the lakes in Lake County have been cut off, can't get on them. And we were kind of, out of all the counties, we were kind of unfairly targeted right off the bat by them saying that no guiding and no tournaments. So it is what it is. I'm not going to worry about it. We're going to try to do the best, take care of things. So we're just going to branch out from a fishing report to what we promised we'd do a couple weeks back, where we said we'd start covering some of our tackle and start going over some other stuff. So that's what we're going to do. So today's subject is actually going to be about what worked well for us over this winter. I'm going to specifically talk about winter being from December through just now. So our most productive presentation was the underspin with a Kitech on it. We caught fish on underspins up to the 4.8s and as small as the 2.8s. Much to our surprise, getting off the bass subject for just a second, that little dude right there with a 2.8 Kitech absolutely was a killer on some big crappie, 2.5 to 3 pounders. We weren't targeting them. It's just when we were fishing for bass, when you got around in front of the Tulies the last month, they were eating that dude. So I have to credit a friend of mine, a guide friend, Paul Bailey. When I heard that there was a pretty deep bite this winter, the only way that I was catching deep fish was on a shaky head. And the reality is I really don't like fishing more than about 25 feet deep and never have on this lake. So when I found out that I needed to be out in 30 to 32, 33 feet of water, that was a new experience. He threw me a bone about the Kitech and the underspin. So I went to work on it and it produced. It produced up until the last day I fished. So there's a couple of different kinds of underspin heads. This particular one I have in my hand came off of a rod, and this is one of Rick Teet's models. It's a Blade Runner version. The thing I really like about this one is, if you can see it there, he's got a little screw keeper, and it really holds these baits on well. It's a little goofy to try to get used to tying them, putting them on, because you have to figure out how they screw on, but very, very good. Holds up really well, holds the baits on very well. The other one, this is a Revenge Head by Ray. You'll see it's a different kind of hook keeper. This is the kind that has the little spear tab on both sides. If you're going to use this kind, it's you got to have crazy glue to hold it on there. There may be some other ways. That's the only way I know of how to do it. This guy, man, I'm telling you what, he makes some very good baits with extremely high-end components, good paint jobs. The key with fishing these underspins was just fishing them off the bottom. Cast them out, let them sink to the bottom, and just try to reel it back at a speed that it would just stay just off the bottom within about a foot. And you know what? I found that to be true no matter if it was in 6 feet of water or 30 feet of water. That's the way we've been fishing them, and they worked. I want to thank Paul Bailey, one of our guide friends, for the tip on this, especially in the deeper water, because it really, really helped. Not just myself, but I was able to put clients on those same fish. So number one for that time frame, in my mind, was the underspins. Number two, Once we started getting to where the water temperature was in about 53, 54 degrees, somewhere there. I mean, not exactly, but somewhere in that range, the rip bait started producing well for me. And I kind of like a rip bait bite. It's kind of fun, you know. You're just kind of goofing off, and you're just, you know, chook, 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 and then you go chook, and all of a sudden there's weight there. Every once in a while, you'd be in the paws and just they would just smoke it and pull off with it. But the good old Stacy 90, a couple different colors. This is a threadfin shad version. We have a couple different colors that we were working. This one, probably one of my favorites, clown color. In fact, if you look at that real closely, you can see that there's still a scale hanging on that front hook. I told you, this stuff just came out off of rods, and these tackle boxes came right out of the boat. So these were the basics that I was carrying. Like I said, didn't really get on those fish until water temperature was about 53 or so. The Stacy, which is a deep diver, was a really good bait. When the water depth we were fishing was 8 to 10 feet. When we weren't in that 8 to 10 foot range, and this was more within the last probably 2.5 to 3 weeks, when the water temperature was up in the high 50s, this little Megabass Vision was a real producer. And this thing is still going to be a good producer all the way through, well, if we could fish, it would be all the way through April, maybe even into early May. We've caught some really good fish on this over the years. The one thing that we do differently with them is we remove the stock hooks, take the belly hook off, and replace the stock hooks with these Gamakatsu extra wide gap size 6. Doesn't seem to affect the bait at all, and I'll tell you what, those hooks just do an outstanding job. The issue that we had with the stock hooks, we actually broke a couple of them on fish. The only thing that you have to be careful with the Megabass, they're not as durable as the Lucky Craft. That is what happens if you touch a dock during your cast, or if you have some weeds or grass on your bait and you decide you're going to slap it on the water to clean it off. You just toasted a bait. So they're fragile, take care of them, but they're awesome, awesome baits. Most of the Vision rip bait fish were up in the, we'll call it 4 to 7 foot range, and a lot of them around docks. So the Stacy fish were around rocks. The other bait were baits that I threw when we were up in the shallower water around docks. Third bait, which was productive during that entire time frame. You guys are going to get sick and tired of seeing this, but it's shaky head. 3/16 ounce trick worm, several different colors. June bug works fine. A green pumpkin version works fine. So does a watermelon version. All three of them. We caught fish on this thing all winter long, anywhere from 4 feet to 32, 33 feet. So it's a consistent producer. Jim, that's about all he threw all this winter, and has caught fish pretty consistently the entire time. We caught, during this time frame of mid-January through now, we caught 4 fish that were just under 8 pounds or just over 8 pounds. And 3 of them came off this shaky head. The other one came off of the rip bait. So that's kind of a real quick recap of our winter fishing. There was other stuff that worked. These are all Megabass Visions. The things that a lot of guys are throwing up here and have been throwing up here are the A-rigs. And they work. I've just kind of gotten out of fishing them. It's just too much work. Plus, these other bites are a lot more fun to me. This is just an assortment of Lucky Craft pointers and Stacy's, anywhere from the 78 all the way up to the 128. And then this is the fish heads box. Just so you folks can see kind of an assortment of stuff. And I know it doesn't really translate real well here, but I'll figure this stuff out eventually. I'm going to focus a lot more on the content and getting the information to you than worrying about how pretty it looks. So you all stay healthy, take care of yourselves, do what we're supposed to do so this thing can end as fast as possible. Those fish are spawning out here about 210 yards away. They've been spawning, not full blown, but it started and it's going fairly well and it's going to go. So they'll be ready when we're ready and we can get back out on the water. Just be safe, be careful with your family. This too will pass. Ross England Clear Lake Guide Service. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks.